Even though it seems like it was only yesterday, in reality, half the year has already passed. Isn't that crazy? I used to get a little bit of anxiety by summer because I would always be like, no, I haven't hit the goals I wanted to reach that I decided a year from now, or since December, I've made no progress. Like, I usually don't have this mid-year compared to December, but every summer is like a measuring point for me. Like, did I hit my targets compared to last year, same time frame? And in December, I have the same. So I thought, you know what? Why not make an episode about a mid-year check-in? Because maybe you are kind of feeling the pressure, or maybe you're just a little bit disappointed by all of the things you didn't do in the past couple of months. So in this episode, we're going to look at the highs and the lows. We're going to celebrate the wins, and we're also going to look at how can we make sure that those lows don't occur anymore in the next couple of months. Hello, and welcome to the Fast Forward Amy show, the show where we lift your life and business with simple strategies. I'm Fast Forward Amy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode every Tuesday. I will be honest with you. It is very hot in here. There is currently a heat wave in Belgium, and I feel like I'm dying while I'm making this episode. But I'm still recording it, and the reason that I can actually record it without feeling like I'm gonna faint is because this is definitely something I personally feel like. You know, when you have a podcast prep and you feel like, oh, I don't know, I have to go through these 5 boring steps. Could I? Do I want to? This is something that I go through every single day. Every 6 months, I have to reevaluate. Every week, I have to evaluate. I have a team, and I can't afford to get distracted during 6 months. And maybe you are alone in your business, but you also can't afford to get distracted. So that's a long story to say I feel very good about recording this episode, although I'm also dying from the heat. And we're gonna make it short, though, you know, because of the heat and because of however much I like this topic. Who knows? I might faint. The first step that we need to do to make sure if we are on track or not, or to have our mid-year check-in, is to track our data or to know our numbers. One of my favorite quotes is not what you measure is what you know, but it is my own adaptation on that. What you measure is what you increase. And too often we get distracted and we get to a point where we are mid-year and we're like, oh, are we doing a good job? Are we not doing a good job? No, it's never enough. I feel like I suck. My business is terrible. And it's because you actually also don't know if it's terrible or if it's good, because you probably didn't even have any goals. So something I do with my friends and fellow entrepreneurs when they tell me about a launch they have coming up, for example, because I love launching, is that they're like, oh, I'm going to open my pre-order tonight. And I'll ask them, oh, do you have a target for yourself? Do you have a goal? When are you happy with your results? And usually people look at me like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so are you happy when, you know, it goes live? Or are you aiming for your first sale? Or do you want 10 sales? And I try to help them out by making it very, very concrete, because if we don't really know where we are headed, it's also going to be very difficult to see if we have arrived. And that's why tracking your data and also setting goals obviously is really important. So we, for example, just finished up a pre-order. Our target was 50 minimum. So the moment we hit 50, we felt more at ease, but we did want 100, and that's what we really aimed our energy at, and we hit the 100 sales. But if you're not aiming your energy there, it's not going to work. So the first step is track your numbers, research where you are at right now. Are you over budget, under budget? How much cash flow has come in? Did you grow your audience or not? Your email list, has it grown over the six past months or not? My guess is you are going to be negatively amazed by your stats, and you're going to see that although you've been busy, the results have been stagnant or even declining, and that's probably because you are lacking focus. So first, make sure you highlight your most important numbers and start tracking them. And remember here that cash is king and cash is the fuel of your business. I notice this with myself that I tend to get distracted sometimes because of, for example, working with a lot of people. Like for me, learning how to be a good boss in my company has been a bit of a struggle. And I notice that sometimes I fall into managing the moving pieces instead of keeping focus on the vision and on the targets. And, you know, before you know it, you're not making a profit because you are shifting, or you kind of lost track of your costs and stuff like that. And those are the things that we need to remember as entrepreneurs, be that a solopreneur or CEO of a bigger company, it doesn't matter, that we need to keep an eye on the cash. So if you are not tracking any other data, make sure you are tracking your cash flow. The second thing we need to do in our mid-year check-in is we need to identify our successes and challenges. So I suggest you grab a piece of paper. I have one here. Grab a piece of paper and you divide it just in the middle. And on the left side, you write down your successes, and on the right-hand side, you write down your challenges. And you turn off all distractions and you just write down, okay, what were my biggest successes? And you're going to notice that it's going to be very difficult to write down the successes on the left-hand page because you're going to get drawn to all of the challenges you encountered. Now, I am very consciously saying challenges and not problems because we learn from everything. We want to position most things as abundant and positive. So we're looking at it as challenges and not problems. So on the left-hand side, I could write selling out my pre-order, for example. That was really fun. Challenges could be getting content out on time. That could be something that I stumble into. And, when I write down my challenges, I noticed that a lot of the things I saw as challenges had to do with time. And because of that, it got me to thinking like, how can I prevent this from happening in the future? And I actually discovered that there was a little bit of a gap in how I was managing things and how things were being run in my business. And I implemented this small change that now enables me to look ahead and see if something is gonna go wrong. So now I can see, we're not gonna hit a deadline or the deadline is too late because I've implemented a way that I can see all of my projects and all of the deadlines of my deliverables so I can kind of check in before the ship has crashed. And that makes it so that I have to work less at night. The funny part is I'm recording this now because by the time you listen to this, this will have happened. But I only identified it 2 days ago. And this is the fast forward way. We see things, we change things, we take quick action. I know sometimes your business might feel really heavy, and I invite you to score your business. If you would score your business right now, which score would you give it out of 10? A while back, gonna be honest, I gave my business a 3 out of 10. And that was very bad. Double bad because I'm a business coach and I know how I can change things, but I was just a little bit stuck in my own brain. So just here to tell you, it's okay to be stuck in your own brain. Not every season is going to be high motivation, high energy, lots of solutions. Sometimes you're just going to sit in the shit for a while, and that's okay. But now it's time to crawl out of the shit if you are sick of sitting in the shit. And the way we do that is by identifying the challenges we faced, learning from history, and implementing solutions in our future. So the second thing we talked about was identify your successes. On the left-hand side, I urge you to look for at least 10 successes. You need to start training your brain to focus on the positive. And on the right-hand side, maybe look at 10 challenges and look at how you overcame them and how you can prevent them from happening in the future. Third up, if you had a goal, if you didn't have any goals, the first thing you need to do is set a goal. But if you had a goal and you didn't reach your goals and you're like, oh my God, Amy, 6 months have passed. What do I do with my life, my business? I have great news for you because we don't necessarily need to do huge things. Probably the only thing you need is you need to follow the fucking plan. And you probably don't have a plan. And that might be the problem. So often we're like, oh my God, I haven't earned enough money. I need to start doing really complicated things. My team and I have this running joke that where we don't get enough sales, we're like, okay, it's almost about the time Amy takes her clothes off. This is this joke like, if we can't get any sales in, Amy will have to show her boobs. Luckily, we've never had to do this because we have other strategies in our toolbox that do not include me taking off my clothes. Thank you very much. I'm looking at my copywriter who's identifying bites, and I think she has 2 really great bites from this episode. Bites are the tiny clips we put up on Instagram to urge you to come and listen. So what was I saying? Yeah, so the plan. The thing is, we often think, oh, I'm not hitting my targets, I should make a new plan. Whereas in reality, it's just that we didn't have a plan or we weren't sticking to the plan. And what I like to teach my clients and also teach myself and my team is that you have to follow the fucking timeline. So for example, this could be with us. In a launch, we tend to be like, should we change this? Should we change the date? Should we add this? Should we close now? If it's sold out, do we need to... We get so caught up in making new decisions that we forget to just follow the plan we already had. And this is the fun part about business is you might think it needs to be stressful and you might be so used to the chaos. But the thing is, you might just need to change a little bit of your plan or make sure that you're actually following it. But don't change your plan if you haven't been following it already. And this is kind of like when you have a workout program. You can have a really bad workout program or a good workout program. When are you going to get the most results? When you follow the bad workout program consistently, or when you occasionally look at the great workout program? You're going to get the most results when you just execute and follow the timeline of the bad workout program because you are consistent. So if you haven't hit your goals and now you know about your data, you know about your wins, your challenges, third step is we want to make your business boring. And that could mean either that we have a look at your plan, we identify that you haven't been following it and you need to start sticking to it. If a piece of content needs to go out, you're going to put it out. If you need to send out an email, you're going to send out an email and not be afraid of the unsubscribes. Or it could be that you have been following your plan meticulously and you need to change it. But I'm going to be honest, more often than not, it's not that you need to change your plan. It's that you either don't have a plan or should start following the plan you made. I like to call this whole principle following the fucking timeline, as I already said, but also just make your business boring. You don't need more products. You don't need new launches. You need to do the same things over and over again and make it better as you go. Now, if you do need to change your plan, we're going to adapt your plan and we're going to do that in the following way. We're going to look back at the past and we're going to identify the things that actually helped you forward. And to do that, we need another piece of paper. So we can turn around the piece of paper we already had and we're going to flip it over and we're going to just write down on the right-hand side the successes, or you already wrote it down. So let's just add another piece of paper to the left-hand side. You see your successes and you're going to write down the things that actually got you those results. So for example, for me, what I tend to forget in a launch is going live. But when I look back at my past launches, I see that when I go live, I get a lot of sales. Yet there's always something holding me back from going live. So now that I've identified that, I know that when I am launching, I need to implement a live in every week of a launch, for example. So you look back at the past, you looked at what did work, and you're going to implement those things into your plan very boringly. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. This is so often the case. People are like, oh, I need to pick your brain. I should look for new solutions. But you have solutions. You have really great stuff in your toolbox. You're just not using it. So step 4 is adapt your plan based on things that have worked in your history. Don't necessarily always go chasing for the new ones. Again, make it boring. And last but not least, step number 5 of your mid-year check-in is actually the same as step number 1. Because the reason we got sidetracked is because we weren't seeing the results anymore. We weren't tracking anymore. So what you need to start doing right now is track your results every single day or a minimum of every single week. This could be your finances. I have a friend who does that every Friday. She calls it her Finance Friday. Her name is Inger Vierhout. You can look her up on Instagram. She has her Finance Fridays where she looks at her money mindset and all of that stuff. On the other hand, it could be that you implement a Fast Forward 15 exercise that you can find in one of the previous podcasts, by the way. Just research it on a site as well, because I also have a tutorial on it. And that could be that you do a little bit of a creative exercise each morning to define your focus and also look up your stats. But you can't be navigating your boat without looking at the compass, and your numbers are your compass. Now, the great news is that you don't have to be good at maths. You don't have to be good at numbers in order to be able to do this. But you do need a minimum of tracking your cash flow. You need to know what's coming in and what's going out, and just what the status is. If you do that, by the way, you're already beating a lot of solopreneurs because most people don't do this. And then I would look at just the biggest stats. Like for me, for example, that is my podcast. For me, that could be the growth of my email list, my Instagram followers, or clicks in emails. Stuff like that really determines how well my business is, headed towards the goals we have for it. If you have no clue where you need to get started with tracking your data, really great news for you, because I'm a little bit of an amateuristic Excel wizard. I'm not going to say I'm an Excel wizard. I am an extreme amateur. My boyfriend and I talk about this all the time. When he sees me doing stuff in Excel, he's like, what the shit? And when I see him doing stuff in a project tracker, I'm like, what the shit? To each our own. But we do both really love calculating stuff. And you might hate calculating stuff, but you might love getting results. So that's why I made a free Excel sheet where you can start tracking your data. And the fun part is I used this exact same sheet 2 years ago when I started tracking my body progress. 2 years ago, I was at my highest weight and the unhealthiest I have been in my entire life, except for when I was sick as a kid. That's a different story. And I was very confused. I was like, I'm doing so many things right, yet my weight keeps going up. Might be stress weight. Am I getting insulin resistance? Am I going to get diabetes? And I was so confused. And I thought to myself, well, if I am tracking my data, step one of the check-in is like, it's not going well. And you know what? I didn't know how to adjust the plan because I didn't know what was working or not. And what I did is I went back in my medical history of the 10 years before that and I looked at what worked and what didn't work. And one of the things that came out of that was that strength training was really important for me. I saw that my weight increased and my health declined because those two for me went hand in hand. This is not the case for everyone. This is just for me personally. And I saw that when I was moving my body, I was still gaining weight and it wasn't healthy for me. And I was, nearing diabetes. And I saw that when I was strength training, my body composition improved, my fitness improved. So I realized, okay, if I only have half an hour each day, I should spend it on strength training, not on swimming. So this doesn't change the resources you have, it changes the decisions you make and the actions you take. So if you start tracking stuff, be that for your health, for other things, for your marketing, for your finances, it really helps you because it gives you the clear data set you need in order to make the decisions for your next step. So that's what you can use a tracking sheet for. You can find it through fastforwardamy.com/tracking sheet. And I linked it up in the description of this episode. So you can go and find that. I would say go ahead and start. It's really great. It gives you a lot of control back. Don't expect anything fancy because, as I said, I am an amateur, but it does work. This is the fast forward way. It doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to help you to take action. So start applying this for your business. And now if we want to recap this episode, I'm just going to quickly go over the 5 steps you need to do your mid-year check-in to make progress fast. And those are, first, tracking your data, because remember, what you measure is what you increase. 2, identify your successes and challenges. Celebrate the wins and also look at the challenges and how you can start preventing them in the future. 3, change the plan, but make it boring. And by that we mean, did you have a plan and have you been following it? And should you just maybe follow the plan? Is that actually step number 3? I think it is. 4, maybe if it really needs to happen, you adapt your plan. So you actually change your plan. That's step number 4. And you do that based on your history. Remember what I just said. If strength training works, then do that. But then strength training for your business. And last but not least, start tracking again from now on. Ideally, every single day. And this is how we are going to make sure that you can fast forward the next 6 months and that you don't feel what you're currently feeling by December. This was my episode for today. If you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to reach out to me on Instagram on FastForwardAmy or to just email my team, where you can reach us through team@fastforwardamy.com. And we're currently also in the process of really revamping our business school. We're also going to be hosting our business summer school. And in the next couple of weeks, you're going to see a lot about that appear. So keep an eye out. And if you liked this podcast, I wouldn't mind if you gave me a review on Apple Podcasts. I know that you probably think I don't need it. In your eyes, I might be a super large personal brand, or I might have a super large personal brand. But in reality, what I know is that a lot of people take free information for granted. I really try my best to make my free information as good as my paid courses. So if you would have 1 minute of your time to spend on me, I would really appreciate some stars on Apple Podcasts and a written review. Thank you.